Let's talk about showtime. In this week's blog, we're going to be talking about the benefits of putting on a show when you're in your practice, when you're treating patients, when you're working with your team. Who you're being matters. Patients don't know really who you are. They only know what they experience. And what they want to experience when they're in practice is what Danny Myers talks about, enlightened hospitality. Danny Myers and I share something in common. We both opened our businesses in 1985. He opened up a small restaurant off of Union Square when Union Square wasn't as nice as it is today. And it was a two-story restaurant. It was called Union Square Cafe. And he went against all the odds. He opened up in a neighborhood that wasn't very nice. He thought he wanted to go to law school, but he followed his passion and opened up a restaurant. For me, I always wanted to be an actor, but I ended up going to dental school because my parents sort of said that would probably be a good idea, and it was probably a good move because I did become a successful dentist. It's sort of hard to become a successful actor. How many actors are there in the United States? Probably millions of them, and how many do you know? Maybe 150, 200 names that are actors out of a million. As a dentist, though, if you work hard, you do the right thing, you can become successful. One of the things that we weren't taught in dental school, though, is the benefits of putting on a show. When I say putting on a show, I don't mean something false. I don't mean something that's not real, that's not genuine. What I mean is being present to the needs of your patients. Now that takes place before the patients even come into our practices. You have to have a nice driveway, you have to have a nice neighborhood, you have to have a nice lobby, you have to have nice bushes, nice plantings around there. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you a suggestion. When you go to work, when you go to your office, or you go to play, as some people like to say, take that drive to your place of employment, look around, look at everything, look at the neighborhood, look at the sidewalks. Is there any trash in front of it? Are any bushes need planting? Do you have an old brown bush that needs to be replanted? Are things being watered? Is there any trash in the parking area? Do your fences clean and neat? Does your building need to be painted? Is your lobby clean? Is it spotless? Do people smile? Put yourself in the shoes of one of your patients. Walk into your office like as you're walking in there for the first time, and what do you see? Do you see what your patients see? Try to really experience that. Now, not everybody can do that because a lot of us we don't think that way. But think about it from what a patient sees. They're coming in there, they're scared. They don't know what they're going to see when they walk into your office. Unlike going to a Danny Myers restaurant or a great place of enjoyment, coming to a dental office is not some place that people like to go to, have a good time. They go to a dental office to do something they don't want to do, to fix their mouths. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe they're in pain. Maybe they grew up poor and had really terrible experiences in a clinic where they couldn't tell the dentist or the doctor what they were feeling or what they needed, and they didn't have a choice. So people come with a lot of baggage, and it's important to unpack all that. So for us, for our dentists and doctors, we want to unpack where they're going through so we can meet them where they are. That's all part of putting on that show. Is your carpet clean? Are your fingernails clean? Is your hair combed? All part of putting on a show. Are you always present? Or are you thinking about maybe what time is lunch? When can I get out of here? I don't want to see that patient. Every patient that comes into my practice, I treat as an individual. I don't care if they're old, if they're young, if they're male, if they're female, if they came from this city, or if they came from this estate, if they came by limo or came from the bus. They're all human beings, and they're all coming there for the same reason, to be cared for. So it's very important that we, as healthcare professionals, as providers of care, look at all of that. Are we always there for our patients? Are we always there taking care of what they need to be taken care of? Because people want to be nurtured. They come into our office with a tremendous amount of fear. They come into our office with a tremendous amount of uncertainty. I try to remove that uncertainty when they walk in there. And part of that is just really having a nice reception area, having people be really nice to them. I remember a number of years ago I went to a course. I thought it was a practice management course. And I went with a friend of mine named Fred Kriegel, who was a prosthodontist in Scarsdale at the time. We were both about 32 years old. We had done our residency together at Emory. We go into the course, and we're 30. We walk in the course, and everybody there has either white hair or has no hair. It's an older crowd. Everybody's in their 70s. And Fred and I looked at each other and go, they're going to a practice management course in their 70s? And what happened was they put the wrong title of the course in the brochure. And the guy giving the course was a guy named Harvey Sarner, who was a well-known financier who taught dentists how to save money and how to retire, etc. He got up in front of the room before he started. He goes, I see some of you younger dentists are here because you thought this was a practice management course. It was a practice selling course. It's a practice transitioning course, not practice managing. He says, but I'm going to give you the course anyway. It's 4 words. Be nice to people. And it's as simple as that. If we are nice to people, the people that we serve, our practices will thrive. And that may mean different things to different people, but it's everything. When you go to a Broadway show, you want them to be nice when you walk in. You want a nice seat. You want, some nice food and beverages to be in the back. And you want the performance to be perfect. You don't want it to be screechy. You want the lighting to be perfect. Everything on that show should be perfect. When I go to any performance, whether it's Broadway or whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a vacation at a nice resort, I want everything to be perfect. It very rarely is. And that's an advantage. That's an advantage for us, because if you make your practice great, excellent, exceptional, you're in a niche, and there's no competition there. So think about what your patients are seeing when they walk into your office. Do a little checklist. Driveway, parking lot, lawn, bushes, lobby, elevator, front door, doorknob, carpet, magazines. What does the office smell like? Are you using aromatherapy, lighting, overhead music, and the people who greet them and serve them? That's just a small list. I'm sure you can make that a lot greater. So, thank you for allowing me to share some of my thoughts on putting on a show. I think it's real important. I do that all the time. And my son will tell you, if I walk into a restaurant and I get the bad vibe, I'm walking right out. My wife and I, we have this thing. We walk around and she goes, do you get the vibe? And I've become so sensitive to getting the vibe that I can usually find the best restaurants in any town just by the vibe. And a lot of restaurants I've walked in and I've walked right out because I didn't like the lighting. I didn't like the way the tables looked. I could see the vibe there. I could see an angry maitre d'. I could see all the waiters are running around. They're really uptight. That happens in dental offices too. If the leader in the dental office, whether it's the dentist or it's the main surgical assistant or the office manager, if they're not in a very good mood, I can guarantee you everybody else is not in a very good mood. I oftentimes will walk into a grocery store, say a Stop and Shop, or it could be any store, Finest or a Whole Foods even, and I see how people are behaving. And one of the stores in my area is a store called Stu Leonard's. And I know Stu Leonard. I knew his father. It's one of the most successful grocery chains, privately owned in the United States. And you walk into that store and everybody's always in a good mood because the owner is in a good mood. And the people that work for him are in a good mood. And the people that work for the people that work for him are in a good mood. It sort of trickles down. The same thing trickles down. Bad moods tend to trickle down. I remember once I walked into a grocery store and I saw a guy putting produce away and he dropped the produce, just put it back up there, he didn't wipe it off, and I'm looking at him and he was in a miserable mood. And the first thing I thought of was like, I want to find the produce manager. And then I saw him. He was over there. He was surly. He was angry. He was talking negatively to another one of the employees. I go, that's why that employee is not in a very good mood. So remember, if you're the leader, if you're a team member that has some ballast, that does something that other people look at, and by the way, that's all of us, we all affect everybody. It's like a light bulb in a dark room. It could be very dark. Room could be completely dark. We turn off the lights, this room is dark. And I have one light bulb that's this big, the whole room is going to be lit up. Same thing is a dark room. A dark room, there's lack of light. People aren't very happy in a dark room. It's scary in there. Don't be somebody who makes a room a dark room. Be someone who puts on that light, spread that light. It's sort of like when I used to do meditation, TM back in the 70s. I still do meditate, but back in the 70s, they used to do these studies. They'd say if they have, 5% of a community would meditate, the whole community, the crime would go down. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but it does make sense. So be the gift, be the light, try to help your patients, try to make a positive difference on those around you. It's a lot more fun that way. Thanks for listening, and remember, be the gift.